What is going on YouTube? And in today's video I'm going to be giving you guys 5 tips to help you guys out with your hourly rates on Doordash and Uber Eats. Now I just want to start off by saying that with Doordash and Uber Eats I'm able to average about $25 an hour out here in Southern California. Monday through Sunday is what I can typically get, 25 per hour. And I want to show you guys how I'm able to get that 25 an hour more easily. Now I'm going to put some screenshots up of how much I made last week and the hours that I put in. It came out to around roughly 25 an hour, I believe. It also usually depends on the day that you do it. Like for example, you should not be expecting on a Wednesday at 9 in the morning to be getting $25 an hour. So you really do have to pay attention to the hours and the days that you work. Also the city or even state that you live in can affect the hourly rate that you get. Tip number 1 is multi-apping. Now by multi-apping I don't mean having just both apps open at one time and alternating between the apps. I legitimately mean doing both at the same time. So for example, say the other day I had 2 Wobble Grill orders, one from Doordash and one from Uber Eats. That's the kind of multi-apping that I'm talking about. The way that can help you improve your hourly rate is you get more deliveries in within an hour period. But one thing that I will stress is that it can be stressful, definitely stressful at times, and it can be a little difficult. It does take a lot of practice, and you have to know your area really well as well. If you don't know your area, you will probably get bad ratings. Like for example, the other week or the other day on a Saturday, that day that I got 2 Wobble Grill orders, I also got 2 Chipotle orders. So I had 2 stacked orders from both Uber Eats and Doordash, and let's just say that the 4th delivery, the guy was kind of upset, which I don't blame him, to be honest, but it was kind of my fault that I was a little too arrogant, thinking that I'd be able to get all 4 orders done within a short period of time. Tip number 2 would be calling up the restaurant ahead of time as soon as you get the order. This kind of mostly applies to the situation that is going on right now. To call up the restaurant and to ask them if the dine-in is open for pickup, so that way you don't have to wait in the drive-thru line. Like for example, I've had to wait 15 minutes at a Starbucks drive-thru just to pick up an order, because at the time the drive-in was not, or the dine-in was not open at the time. So just make sure that the dine-in is open for pickup, and also to call ahead of time to see if the order is ready. Tip number 3. Tip number 3 kind of applies to number 2, but it's to not have to wait till the pickup timer on the app is ready to go pick it up. Now this only applies to Doordash. So like say for example the pickup is 7:43 p.m. but sometimes the food will be ready a couple minutes early. There's no need to wait until that time, even though chances are it probably will be ready around that time. As soon as I get to the restaurant, I go in and I ask for my order to see if it's ready. And you'll be surprised, I would say about 50% of the time, the order is already ready by the time I get there. And that's anywhere from 5 to 10 minutes earlier than what the actual timer says. Now tip number 4, I haven't really heard anybody talk about this in any videos prior, but tip number 4 is to be cautious during transition from breakfast to lunch. And this has to do more particularly to people who dash and do Uber Eats in the breakfast to lunchtime time frame. So for example, say you have a McDonald's orders and you pick it up at, let's say, 11:10. I don't know the exact hours for when McDonald's stops breakfast in your time, but this is just an example. So say for example you go at 11:10 and then you arrive at the restaurant and they tell you that your order cannot be fulfilled because they are no longer serving breakfast. Now that could be a real hassle for a lot of people, and personally when around that time frame I really like to be sure that the order does not contain any breakfast items. If you are able to find out on the app that you are using whether or not it is breakfast item or a lunch item, just to make sure. And also this is where tip number 2 could come into play, to call up the restaurant around the breakfast to lunchtime area to see if they are still going to fulfill the order, so that way you don't waste your time and you waste that precious time that you could have used picking up an order that you actually get the full payout for. Because I believe that if you don't aren't able to fulfill the order, you only get a half payout on DoorDash. And I'm not too sure for Uber Eats, but I do know that for DoorDash, if they have to have the order canceled, you only get half the payout. Now, tip number 5 is to make sure that the drop-off of the order that you're getting is not too far away from your zone. And this only applies to DoorDash, so for Uber Eats drivers, this won't really help you in any way. But for DoorDash, I've had times where I get a order in the peak area of my city, and then I'll end up having to drive all the way up to the mountains, which is about a good 7-8 mile drive, and to drop off an order. And now I do fall for this every once in a while because the payout will typically be anywhere from $12 to $25 to go up the mountain to deliver an order. But be wary in your area if the drop-off is too far away from your zone, because for example, going up the hill for me to drop off an order, that's a 16-mile drive to there and back. And I would not recommend doing that if the payout is low. It is really up to you whether or not you want to take it or take the risk and accept that order. I do it every once in a while, I'm not gonna lie. Usually on a Saturday or a Sunday when I'm doing it for the full 8-hour shift, I will typically do this just because I like getting a $15 to $25 payout. In my opinion, I don't mind taking a higher payout for a similar miles driven. But yeah, guys, those are my 5 tips on how you guys can improve your hourly rate on DoorDash and Uber Eats. And I will put up screenshots up to show you guys what I typically get in a week. I don't get this every week because some weeks I'm busier than others, but I typically aim for $500 to $550 a week, working anywhere from 20 hours to 30 hours every week is what I could typically get while doing DoorDash and Uber Eats. Now, I do use DoorDash and Uber Eats. I do use Postmates from time to time, but I would not recommend it, at least if you live in the Southern California area, because out here Postmates is pretty garbage. I only get anywhere from $3 to $6 per orders. It could be different for you guys. I'm not accepted for Grubhub just yet, so I cannot give you guys an opinion on that platform. But as for DoorDash and Uber Eats, I would recommend those 2 by far compared to the other 2 that are available at the moment. Now, thank you guys for watching. If you guys enjoyed the video, leave a like, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.